With Audit AZ Election News. Where do you think it went wrong? Why do you think the judge ruled against your brief, against this case?
Well, you know, there are, there is a statute that says that you shall have this particular number.
Right.
So that statute happens to be, I think, in an area where it's not permissible for the legislature to make rules. They can only make rules that are helpful and assist. And the clerk was pretty clear that she uses this number just to know which box to put stuff in, and there's only one.
Kind of an internal memo sort of reference number.
Yeah. But, you know, if it's going to go up to the Court of Appeals anyway, I mean, it could be the judge thinks, well, I'll just rule and let them take it up and let the judges on the Court of Appeal write the opinion.
Well, I'm speaking as a layman, or asking as a layman, which takes precedence, statute or the Constitution?
Well, the Constitution, for sure. There's little doubt about that. There is, there's hesitancy with judges to, disagree with statutes, and it's.
Well, even when they can directly contravene the Constitution and the will of the people?
Yeah, there's just, sure, the judges shouldn't do that. They should look at the complete law, the reasons for it, the purpose for it. That's part of what they should do. You're absolutely right. And we have a lesser system because more of them don't do that. But it's also kind of a lazy way just to say, well, if you're really challenging this statute or something, that takes a bunch of analysis on my part also, so why don't you just have the appellate court decide it?
Kick the can down the road, so to speak.
Yeah, I think that's a pass the buck, whatever you want to choose, but that's pretty common.
Do you think the strategy in this case is to keep passing the buck until the point becomes made? The sale's gone through?
No, it's, the Court of Appeals is a real place with 3 judges, and, they'll look at this case too.
And this will be a speedy process?
It'll be very speedy, as a matter of fact. When we file in Superior Court, it's next day we're in the Court of Appeals filing, and then a couple of days later we have a phone conference on scheduling. A week or so later we'll probably be in argument. So it really goes pretty quick, and even for them, they make normally a decision quickly, but then may take months to write it out. In other words, often on election things, they say, okay, we reverse the judge, proceed, count the signatures and so forth. Opinion to follow. And then maybe, they have a scholarly analysis that comes out a few months later, but they don't typically wait for that analysis. They try to give you a pretty quick answer.
I see. Well, we're also here with 2 of the ladies that really started kicking the can down the road. We have Shirley Lamonna and Debra Arrett here. What was your thinking when you got into this? I mean, how did you picture this in your mind? I mean, obviously you wanted to be a pair of citizen activists, but what did you foresee happening? Did you think you were going to win this initial round?
I had high hopes that we had a legal system here in Arizona, knowing the history behind our Constitution and the initiatives and referendum, that we actually would have a judge that took that into consideration. We had a lot of support from the residents of Oro Valley in the courtroom, and we've both received a lot of calls and emails from those people supporting a continuing effort with this. They want their voices to be heard.
How far are you prepared to see this through?
Well, we'll take it one step at a time and look to Bill for advice and see where it goes.
What if, let's say that you lose at the appeals court, the appellate level, would that kick it up to Supreme Court?
Yeah, sure. It's different though. In the Court of Appeals, they have to hear it. It's an appeal to them.
Right.
Okay, we would not have a right to appeal to the Arizona Supreme Court.
I see.
What we do with the Supreme Court, you would petition for review. In other words, you don't have a right for them to make a decision on it.
I see.
But
Not even in an electoral
no,
case?
no
Okay.
way. But either side, whoever loses, could ask them, please review this decision, and here's why it's something you should review. So that's that. We have one appeal level, and then the next level is a petition requesting that they hear it. You know, and saying it's an important matter, it's applies statewide, it's something that should be, you know, there are arguments that you give them as to why they should take it, but they don't have to.
Now, I'm going to start off by asking you, there are 4 councilmen and the mayor at the heart of this controversy. You, in fact, worked for them to help reelect them, yes?
I didn't work for them, but I was a strong supporter. I campaigned for them and actually donated to their campaigns, all 4 of them. And I always thought, as many others, that they did have the town's best interest at heart. However, when this was announced on December 3rd, I was not at the meeting, but my first reaction was, wow, are you kidding me? It's like everybody knows what the golf business is going through right now, and how so many courses are being closed. But and initially they accused me of being self-serving because I live in Sun City and we have a golf course that they will compete against. But that never really was a concern of mine because I don't consider that they will be a competitor.
Do you own interest in the golf course in Sun City somehow? Or do you receive financial compensation from it? Or?
Well, no, we have the opportunity. Every homeowner in
I see,
Sun
yes.
City has the opportunity to subsidize operations and capital improvements to the tune of $340 a year.
I see.
Okay.
Now, what about you, Ms. Lamonna? Did you support these candidates? You know, what was your level of activism before this?
No, I actually did not support any of the candidates. I prefer to have people in office that actually think on their own and make their decisions based on facts. And in so many instances, as you attend council meetings, you'll see that those 4 vote in lockstep. So I was really interested in having some new blood on there who would think the things through and do their homework prior to going in and just voting the way the mayor wanted them to vote.
Now, Ms. Arrett, you know, I was struck by something. You said that they announced this December 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
The election, actually, the primary was back in, that served as the election was in August.
Correct. And
So
all 4 were reelected at that time.
Did any of these 4 mention this issue of purchasing the Elkhorn?
Absolutely not. There was absolutely no mention. I believe it came out 60 days before the 3rd that there was a big secret, something very exciting that would be announced. And and this is not what I was expecting would come out. And it's really sad because the residents of Oro Valley are going to lose so much. They truly do deserve a community center.
Mm-hmm.
And those plans were being developed by the town's own Park and Rec Board. And they were working on plans for a 40,000 square foot building that would be built at Narana Park on land that the town already owns. And that building would contain activities and opportunities that were identified in the community survey in June of 2014. And that survey showed that interest in having a golf course was second from the bottom, right above zip lining. So because they've already acknowledged that the golf operations will easily lose $1.3 million the first year, my personal feeling is it'll probably be more than that. And then there's also the money that needs to be spent on capital improvements to bring those courses up to Troon Hilton standards, because those courses have not been well maintained. So even their director of planning and infrastructure admitted in a meeting that the cost of a new building would be $250 a square foot. So do the math. A 40,000 square foot building would cost $10 million. I and most other people would gladly pay that sales tax for a community center that does meet the needs of the community. It would have a sunset. We would know exactly what the costs were going to be. And I'm from Iowa, and this golf course will be pouring corn down a rat hole.
Good metaphor. Now, that kind of begs the question of, what were they thinking? I mean, what do you think was going through these councilmen's mind? I mean, was it profit? Was it, what do you think is going on here?
Well, I've read the Troon contract, I've done my due diligence on it, and in my opinion, the only group that will benefit is HSL. And they're the ones who recently purchased this property, and they closed on it on December 18th, the day after council approved it. And they're getting a golf course, or 2.5 golf courses. And it's my understanding that in order to maintain the Hilton Resort brand, they have to have golf and tennis available. So, so they're getting their golf courses, and it's not going to cost them anything. They won't have to deal with the losses. They won't have to make the improvements, but they will have their golf courses and their tennis courts.
Do you think that may be why the city of Oro Valley, or town of Oro Valley, decided to go with that option rather than spending $10 million to build something new? Which one would be the more cost-effective option?
Well, building new, but they continue to kind of change the story as to why this is important to build. The community center was first, and then when the information came out that it wasn't 34,000 square feet, and that it wasn't meeting the need, and that our own town and park board voted 6-1 against the purchase, against purchasing the golf courses, and mayor and 3 council members even refused to listen to their own park and rec board. I don't really know what they're thinking. I don't think they have done their due diligence, and if you read the Troon contract, which is the management company for the golf courses, which by the way was negotiated by HSL for the town and will convey once the purchase is complete, it is full of red flags, and very scary red flags, because for example, even though the town would own the course, the guests at the Hilton would have priority on tee times. It's in the contract that guests at the Hilton will never pay a greens fee or rental for a cart at a higher price than a resident of Sunset or of Oro Valley who is paying the bills. In order to cancel the Troon contract, it would cost $144,000. However, the town cannot get out of the golf business without approval by HSL.
Well, isn't that convenient? Apparently, the city council and mayor of Oro Valley need to learn one simple lesson that apparently a lot of colleges and fraternities need to learn. No means no. Chuck Aubrey for Audit AZ, Election News.